What's up guys, and welcome back to the infamous project. Today I've got Tim and Jody's 1988 Mustang GT with quite the nostalgic / throwback paint theme on it. In fact, this would be a perfect car for Radwood that's coming up here in Austin next weekend. But there's a little bit of a backstory that I'm going to fill you in on, and it's not the happiest story out there because this actually belonged to their son, Tim Jr., who unfortunately passed away back in '06, and there's a tribute logo in Tim Jr.'s name on that rear quarter glass. So his parents kept the car, and they've had it obviously for quite some time now, as we're pretty much 20 years past that event. And I was at Martin Brothers one day filming over there, and Nick, who works the front counter, came up to me. He's like, "Hey Chris, there's a couple here with a FoxBody and they saw yours parked out front and they wanted to talk to somebody about getting some work done to theirs."
So it was actually a customer that came in the office, or a fan.
Yeah.
I was just talking to him that he has an 88. Is it an 88?
You can just hold it.
FoxBody, which was funny. And I was like, I go, "Really, what are you looking to get done on it?" He's like, "Well, I saw the one out there and I was wondering who out there might be able to work on mine. I've got one. It's an 88. I just want to get an engine refreshed on it, and I'm looking to also see about getting a little electrical gremlins work out of it." And he's like, "Yeah, this was our son's car, you know, and he passed away in '05, and we want to go ahead and just, you know, it's already in good condition." But so he showed me pictures of it. The thing looks great. It's clean paint, everything. He says that little V8 and it's just a little tired, so he wants to, you know, probably put a cam in, that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, the perfect guy might be out there to come contact me.
A couple weeks later, the car shows up with quite the laundry list of things that needed to be done to get the car up to date and be reliable after its number of years sitting stagnant. Sent me some pictures of this thing, but to see it in person, this is actually a really, really nice, clean car. It's almost sort of got like a Subaru theme to it, right? All the blue and the yellow. Not the right Subaru shade of blue, but we actually got some cool pinstriping here. And this actually looks like it was painted on. I think this is probably bright regatta blue. Could be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. It's definitely not Bimini, right? But pretty close. But there you guys have it. Intro to this beautiful blue and yellow 88 GT, and we'll call it Project Tim for Tim. Let's talk about the exterior of this car first. I really didn't do much at all. The car showed up this way. This was the paint theme that was on it, and remember, this car would have been built in the early 2000s. Call it the Fast and Furious glory days, if you will. Almost like a Subaru paint theme, if you think about it. And I think it's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of yellow personally, as a lot of you guys know. And it just kind of works. Now, I lowered the car 2 inches for them. That's probably about the only outside exterior aesthetic mod. The tires are new and updated, and they're these blue line tires, which I'd never really seen before. And they ordered these up. They showed up at the shop. I was a little skeptical about the look, and in fact, I'd actually mounted them on the other way. So the blue line was facing inside because it had like this coating on it, and I didn't really think anything of it. And I sent them a picture of the car, and they're like, "Chris, the blue is supposed to be on the outside." And I'm like, now I understand the look that they were going for. So pretty cool, and you know, it looks even better now that the car's lowered. But here's something else that's ultra unique. We got some pinstripe flames that have been painted on, and these are super cool. And I did notice when I was looking really close at the side of the car, and you wouldn't be able to pick this up with the GoPro, I don't think, but the flames actually used to go down the side, and I believe they wet sanded and buffed them off. I don't know if it was because they didn't like the look of everything going down the side. Maybe they grew out of it, or maybe they didn't turn out the way they were hoping. And I think there was a line that kind of went along the back side of the hatch here as well. It is a 2-pedal car, guys, so it is an automatic, and well, you know, you can have your own opinion on that. Me personally, I kind of have grown a little bit more, you know, fonder of the old 2-pedal cars. They're easy to drive, and they can be fun when you got some power underneath the hood, which is exactly what we're going to talk about next. So here we are, nice little 306 underneath here. The car had the original 302 with the Cobra intakes, the same ones that are on this motor here, but the motor was leaking out of every orifice you could imagine. The timing cover was leaking, the oil pan gasket was leaking, the rear main seal, you name it, something was leaking, and there was oil and grease and everything just coated all over the engine bay, down the transmission tunnel, which really made a mess and a challenge to clean things up. I got my good friend, Mr. Notorious, down in San Antonio, that recently purchased a machine shop the other year. He freshened up a 302 block, turned it into a 306, set of RPM, Edelbrock Performer RPM, aluminum heads, 1.6 roller rockers, B303 camshaft, and as mentioned, took the Cobra intakes that were on the old motor and put them on this one. Deleted all the emission equipment and all the nonsense that is not needed here in Texas, so cleaned up a lot of things from that perspective. Well, the car has the old school underdrive pulleys, the Goodyear radiator hoses, and it had the old school brass style 3-row radiator, which unfortunately I think was just filled with too much sediments from over the years and sitting. So the radiator did get upgraded. Car already had a set of Ford Motorsport unequal length headers to a custom made H-pipe with high flow cats and Spintech mufflers, which sounds pretty good. And I'll start the car up here in a second for you guys so you can hear it. But really nice, clean, tidy setup. And of course the transmission was serviced, the filter, fresh fluid. And once I got everything running and things weren't leaking out of every orifice, well, you know, transmission lines, transmission cooler lines start leaking at their fittings, so I had to fix that. Then the main power steering line sprung a pinhole leak, which was spraying power steering fluid everywhere. So it was a little bit of a challenge to narrow some of these issues down. That just kind of, the car was suffering from some old age issues. So got that all sorted out. In terms of the driveline, subframe connectors to stiffen up the chassis, service the rear differential. The car had a poor man's 5-lug when it came in, so of course it's just the rotor swap. Still had drums with 5-bolt axles in the rear, so converted the rear over to your typical SN95 GT caliper and rotor setup. So put in the proportioning valve, gutted the factory one, did the basic stuff there, updated the master. The factory booster was left in place. With this brake setup, you really don't need any more boosting power, so it was just kind of the master forward. And now the brakes, suspension, lowering it down, the stiffened frame with the frame connectors, and the new motor. The power and drivability of this car is great. Reset the TV cable or the kickdown cable, so the car shifts really smooth. It shifts sharp and firm, actually squeals the tires going into second gear, which is fun. And the car sounds great, which is probably the most important part. So before I fire the car up, let's talk about a few other little minor details that were done, because all the little things add up, guys. You know, as we open the driver's side door, striker bushings needed to be replaced on all the doors and including the hatch. Door pins on the driver's side door needed to be done. This door pin or dome light pin switch, when I took it out, because the light wasn't coming on, the wires were corroded right off the backside. I'd actually never seen that before, so managed to clean up all the connections and get that right. Car had an old school Alpine stereo. The head unit still exists here. Had an amplifier underneath the seat, the classic, let's just cut all the wires. And they wired everything to the front channel, like off a 2-channel amp. So it was like front side only, and it was like front left did front and rear, which was pretty annoying. So I redid the wiring, ripped the amplifier out because they really didn't need all that extra oomph, if you will. I found remnants of wiring that would have gone to a subwoofer in the back, so ripped all that rat's nest out and cleaned that up. Put LED bulbs in the gauge cluster and the climate controls so you can see the gauges, even though they're the old school white face, which I don't know, I guess is love it or hate it, but very nostalgic and true to when this car would have been built. So got that all taken care of. Of course, the doors open and close great. The hatch was seriously off. Like, guys, this was rattling so damn bad. I wish I would have got some footage of it. And it was sitting, I can't remember if it was like 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch off this way or the other way, but I loosened the main hold down bolts on the top there and managed to scoot it over, new striker and bushing on there. So now the hatch opens and closes properly and no more rattles. Seals nice and does everything else, because we know these hatches can be a huge pain to deal with. Now, some of you guys might be asking, well, why don't you have footage of this car? And, you know, going through all this. Well, unfortunately, guys, this car kind of came at an odd time for me. I was halfway through treatments. You know, I had a chemo pump on. When I first met Tim and Jody, it was like a very challenging time in my life, but I wanted to try and keep some normality. So some of you guys are probably aware of my situation or what it was, maybe not everybody, but it was just one of those times I wasn't really feeling picking up the camera or making tons of content. And I do have a little bit of footage. When the car came, I got some footage from Andrew when he had just wrapped up getting the motor installed, because I had him helping me out to try and make up for, I guess, my own inabilities to put in full work weeks, if you will. So thank you to Andrew, because he was a tremendous help while he was around helping me. He helped with the motor swap, with the rear disc brakes, welded in the subframes, and just really left things like the button-up items, the emission delete, the wiring, the interior work, the door pins, the strikers, alignment, all of that stuff was really left up to me.
We have finished the rear disc brake conversion on this blue and yellow GT that was in for kind of a restoration, refresh, couple little fixes here. So this is really a worthwhile upgrade on these cars. The more and more I've done these, the more I realize how much better it is. Drum brakes are they're a bit antiquated, right? And if you're going to add some power and you want to have a little fun with this guy, it only makes sense to do the rear brake swap, and that's the reason the Cobras came with them. Also went ahead and freshened up the diff housing, painted that sway bar. The upper and lower control arms got swapped out because the bushings were kind of boogered up. But yeah, overall looking pretty good back here, and I'll show the engine bay in a second. All right, and here we have the crown jewel, the engine bay. Before Chris left on vacation, he told me, you know, hey, attention to detail on this guy. If you guys haven't already heard the story, it was actually the parents of the original owner, original builder, the visionary that brought the car to us to finish, and also again to kind of refresh some stuff, replace some stuff. This is a new engine actually, and we have swapped over all of the accessories, the Cobra intake, Cobra valve cover. You can see a lot of it's looking really fresh. The old engine had just a nasty oil leak. It was coming out of multiple areas, but I think mostly the timing cover. So this whole engine bay was just covered and coated in grease. All the accessories covered and coated in grease. There was a lot of stuff where I had to degrease it even to find the dang connectors or bolts. So all of that has been cleaned, and that was quite a process, but definitely worth it. The engine bay had a couple areas where there was a little surface rust, so that was removed, repainted. Battery tray, we got a new battery tray in there because the old one was all, you know, boogered up and heat damage, age, that sort of deal. New battery cables. Speaking of cables and wires, I'm sure you guys see the spark plug wires here with the custom zip tidy harness that is color matched blue and yellow. I'm sure that'll definitely continue to be an eye catcher under the hood. I like the paint matched hardware on here. I know it's kind of a bit of a controversial move for a lot of people, but again, the original owner did paint a few of the pulleys. It looked like they painted a couple of the bolts. There was just so much grease on everything, it was hard to tell what was what. So kind of the more visible, bigger nuts and bolts, you know, those got the treatment. There's a long list. There's quite a few things that we're taking care of here under the hood.
So it was a team effort, and the car took some time going through, and that was the one thing that I told Tim and Jody, because we're eager to get the car back, and I'm like, I need to put more miles on this thing and make sure that you guys don't need to send it back or any of those things. I wanted to get enough break-in miles on the motor so that I could do the first oil change and get that out of the way for them, which that has all been done. So if I'm talking more than showing what I did, I apologize, but better to have something than nothing. So with that said, let's fire this car up and you guys can hear how the 306 sounds with this motor and exhaust setup. 6.
Real 6. It sounds great.
Yeah, it's got like just a B cam and some metal Brock heads.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
You know, it's gone through a lot, but finally got there, so it's getting picked up in a few minutes.
I knew it wasn't a Coyote. Coyote don't sound this good.
Nah, man, the small block stuff. It's got spin tex on it too, which I'm not a huge fan of,
awesome.
but it does sound
Rev
good. It's auto. Yeah, pretty neutral.
Sounds good.
Yeah. It's nice to hear coming from a Beamer guy.
Yeah, it sounds good.
So you guys can see here, get a little driving video as I turn around back to the shop. Listen to how nice that almighty B-cam sounds in this thing. But that's going to do it for Tim and Jody's 1988 Mustang GT. I hope you guys like the overview / reveal video, and I'm super excited for them to get the car. Just waiting for the tow truck to show up here and to get their feedback. They've already sent me a beautiful email, so appreciative of all the work, the time and effort. If you guys know all of these little things and more that I've missed of what it takes to work on a FoxBody these days, you're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about, because it really is all in the details on getting these cars right, as they are a little bit of a forever ongoing project. So with that said, gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for tuning in, for following along, and until next time, we'll catch you back here on the Infamous Project.